that I worked on for December of 2022. This is a review that was developed by Winter Coleman and Rep accounting firms back in 2017, so we've been using it for some time. It is something that we do. It's not an audit. It's simply a review of the financial records at the end of the year, which I looked at. It requires a look at the general ledger, restricted accounts, the payroll records, and the checking accounts, which I did. I took sampling of each of these and checked it for the procedure, accounting procedures, that it conforms. At any point during the year I looked at, it conforms with the budget that was prepared for 22. I did not find anything out of order after I did this review, submitted it to leadership, and I just said there's nothing out of order and I don't see any need for any changes in the financial records. That's all I have.
Don't move, don't leave.
Okay.
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 Okay, this is yours. Stay up here. No, you keep that. I'd now entertain a motion to accept the Reviews Committee's report as present. Who would like to make that motion? Dan, how about you? Do you make the motion? Yes.
I'll make a motion.
You can do things like that. Okay.
I'll second it.
Do I have a second? John Kyle? Is there any discussion? Is there, Mike? Wait a minute, you gotta wait for a mic.
I told you.
I don't know if I should wait until we discuss the budget or not, but I noticed that the Memorial Garden checking, it says transfer to heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. That's the Memorial Garden. What are we doing, heating and air conditioning in Memorial Garden?
That may be a typo. Legacy transferred money from the Memorial Fund to the HVAC system to help pay for the HVAC system.
Not the garden.
Pardon?
You're right, it's not the garden.
It's not the garden money, it's the Memorial Fund.
Well, there's a Memorial Fund there, but then it says Memorial Garden check. You've got two different things.
What page are you on, Mike?
It's not even listed on the page. It would be the fourth page in.
Fourth page in.
1, 2, the back of it.
Section 3.
Second. I see Memorial Guard check. Oh, down here. Transfer the HVAC system.
Oh.
So that, was that an error on your part? Okay, he meant the Memorial Fund, not the Memorial Garden Fund. Do you have is there another question? We can amend that. All right. Is there any further discussion? Is there any discussion? All right, with the edit included, changing Memorial Garden checking to just Memorial Fund checking. All in favor of accepting the review from the committee, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Are there any abstentions? No, thanks a lot. Really appreciate you doing that. Thank you. All right, I'll take that. Thank you. It is a lot. It's a lot of work, and it's a thankless job. The next item on the agenda is a request by the Director of Hearts and Hands Preschool, Ms. Cindy Meckel, to change the possible makeup of the Hearts and Hands Preschool Board of Directors. I'd ask Cindy to come forward at this time and explain the reasoning behind the proposed change. The current constitutional bylaw language and the proposed change are written out in your meeting agenda.
Forgot I had to do that part.
Yeah, you got to do that part.
I got to do that part. Hi, Cindy Meckel from Hearts and Hands Preschool. The reason we're asking for this change is is sort of a future look because 2 of our teachers are not members of this church who have worked for preschool for a combined like 20-some years. When they retired, they had requested to be a part of the board. Well, right now they would not be able to do that because of the way our bylaws are set. We also have people who donate to preschool who are not members of the church, who we would love to have as members of our board as well. So that's the reason for that change there.
Don't run away.
I know, not going far.
I would now entertain a motion to accept the proposed changes to Article 11, Section 1 of our church constitution. No, you.
Oh, I move that we make that change.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Amy Drew makes a second. Is there discussion? Mike's coming.
I am on the board and it makes a lot of sense to me because so many of our children are not, parents are not members of this church. Oh, I'm Peggy McCollum.
Thanks, Peg. I forgot that part too.
Ari Roberts. How many board members are there?
There are, it's listed in here. So the teachers, me as the director, and then 5 additional. So 3 would have to be church members and 2 could be other. And to Peg's point, we have a lot of students who aren't members of church, and it'd be great to have a parent on the board as well.
So what you're saying is that there's 5 members of the board, and 3 of them, in the new changes, 3 would be members of the church. So if that would be the majority, would be 3 members, and it would be 2 non-members of
Yes.
the church. Okay.
Up to. Now, we could have 5 church members, but yes, up to 2. 2 would be the max. Yeah,
Great. Thank you for the clarification.
yeah, thank you.
And to that point, it's may not be members.
Right.
They could. We could still have 5 church members if that worked out. Is there any other discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of the constitutional change as written down, please say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Are there any abstentions? None. Great, thank you very much. All right, that gets done with the voting. There being no other matters to vote on for the rest of the meeting, we will have the various ministries, committees, and project groups report on what they've been up to on your behalf. At the end of each report, there will be a chance to ask questions or make a comment. Please remember to raise your hand so a microphone can be brought to you and state your name for the record. First up to report is our interim pastor, Bob Gross.
First, let me say how grateful I am to be here among you. You're a great congregation, and it has truly been fun. I will say that I've spent short tenures places, but to start on a Monday and the following Monday to be told you have a call Sunday set up is about as short as they come. During this brief time here, I've had an opportunity to help work on smoothing out some communication in the office, as well as making some tweaks to worship. That in part because I've often had settled pastors coming in and asking me, is the worship format you're using the same one as was here when you got here? And they want to hear it was something different. Because no doubt they will want to put their own stamp on it. So getting us slightly a little away from what we've always done is helpful in our growth. And then finally, I just want to emphasize the cottage meetings again. We've had 2 so far. I think there are 5 that are set up. The sheets are out there to sign in. Chris is hosting one on Monday night, tomorrow night at the Boy Scout house. He and I are going to be awfully lonely if we're the only ones there. So come on out. And I guess, do you have any questions? Hearing none, thank you.
Next to report is our Director of Christian Education and Youth Development, Amy Drua.
All right, I'll make it quickly. All right. With having a full-time pastor again, it has truly lightened my load over the past couple of months and has allowed me to spend more time to focus on my position as the Director of Children and Youth. I'm excited to be working with the different ministries and individuals to offer some exciting events and opportunities to our children, youth, and our community. May is a very, very busy month for our education ministry. I've been working very closely with them to lead and assist in many of these events in which they will share in their report soon. It is an honor to work with this team and the amazing volunteers who support our children and youth. It's a ton of fun, and they are absolutely amazing. Not only are we finding opportunities to offer our children and youth here within our church and on the church grounds, we are also trying to find ways to offer things to our community. I can't wait for all these amazing opportunities to take place, and it's going to be a busy summer as we continue to find opportunities to reach out. One of my favorite things to do each summer is leading our summer youth mission trip. This is an amazing opportunity, and I'm beyond excited to lead this year's group. Over the past couple months, I have enjoyed planning and organizing all the details for this trip. I've also enjoyed working with our youth mission team to offer a few different fundraisers to help decrease the out-of-pocket expenses for our participants. Our current fundraiser is our roadie sale, so please make sure you get your certificates to purchase your flowers and vegetables and anything else. Thank you to all of you who supported our fundraisers and our mission trips over this past year and going into the future. As the mission trip falls under our mission ministry, they will provide more detailed information in their report. It will be a busy and exciting summer filled with a variety of opportunities and activities, and I'm excited for each and every one and can't wait to see where the Holy Spirit will guide us and our resources to serve one another and our community. As we enter into another time of transition here, I want to thank each and every one for all your support and your patience. I also want to thank Pastor Bob for all of your gifts and your support that you have offered me and our congregation. So thank you very much. We are very thankful for the short time we've had with you, and we are honored to have you here with us. I'm excited for this next chapter that's about to happen in 2 months or so, and to be working with Pastor Matt. Oh, any questions? All right, good.
Now, in my defense, in the first conversation I had with Bob was, we have a call situation out there. So he was fully informed that it might happen real quick. So I was straight up front there. All right. Next up to report is our co-treasurer, George Moeller.
Somebody left a dime up here.
It's a tip.
It's yours.
Oh, it's mine, okay. Normally Bob Frick would be giving this report, but unfortunately he's in Greece.
And he's not sober.
Probably not. So I will be doing it on his behalf. First of all, we are blessed to be in a very good cash position at this time, with about $90,000 in our account in unrestricted cash as of the end of March. Pledged contributions through the end of March are tracking to the budget. So the pledges are coming in as we hoped they would. Interestingly, unpledged income is about $30,000 below what we are anticipating. We've received some special gifts in the amount of $25,000, which we've applied to this account. We would hope to see that this number would grow through the remainder of the year, but we're not sure. A lot of it will depend upon new members joining the church, so we'll hopefully see that happen. In terms of the budget, when we adopted the budget, there was a $74,000 gap. And since that time, we've committed about $20,000 to additional expenses for the full-time interim pastor, as well as the prorated share of our senior pastor who's coming. We've also received a contribution of $20,000 for the memorial fund that can be used to help with undesignated expenses. So, with a little bit of a hesitation, we're in very good shape at this point. I'd entertain any questions anyone might have. Mike?
Wait for the mic.
Wait for the mic. Mike?
With the budget, now, Bob isn't here to defend himself, but Bob had told me that we had budgeted for the pastoral search. Am I correct in that?
That we had budgeted?
Budgeted, it was in the budget for the monies for the pastoral search?
I know he's asking, if I understand your question, you're saying, was there money in the budget for the pastoral search committee process?
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
asked Bob, and Bob said there was.
There was. We went through that, because we ended up, and Jill, you're here, we had it had physically 2 or 3 candidates who we paid to come in, who we, some cases flew in. You have to put up their housing. You have to, do a number of things, and it didn't work out. So that's money that we spent. So if I'm certain, and Jill, tell me if I'm wrong, we blew through that budgeted money, didn't we?
Oh, yes. Am I on? Okay. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how much was in the budget, but we estimate that we at least spent $6,000. And I know there was $2,000 donation in 2022 to help cover that. And then we did a free will offering. George, do you remember how much did we get another, about 2,000?
At least that.
And so we still haven't made up all of the expenses that were incurred. And there were 3 different candidates and their spouse or significant other that were flown in and had at least 2 night stays, usually a 2-night stay here, and one that was more local, and that was before we got to Pastor Matt. So, any other questions?
Did that answer
about
your
that?
question, Mike?
Well, what was the amount that was budgeted? It's because at the beginning of the year, we never got a line item thing. It was just a big number.
I have to go back. Was it 5,000?
Well, when we started running out, why didn't we bring it up to the congregation instead of asking for donations to see if we could
Mike,
got Peter to pay Paul? It just,
I'm not sure I understand your question. We had a $5,000 budget for this expense,
Okay.
which we spent. And we spent, in addition to that, probably another $6,000.
okay.
And that's why we had the special offering
Okay.
to cover that $6,000 shortfall
Okay,
that was
Okay.
unplanned.
I'll take that. Then another question. There is money in the Memorial Garden Fund, am I correct, about $15,000?
Correct.
Why are we asking for a special, for the walkway when that money should come out of there?
The monies in the memorial fund, and I can, Fred's here, and he can speak to this too. But Fred, correct me if I'm wrong. The monies in that account are primarily designated for wall construction and other amenities.
Is it a sidewalk going on there?
Pardon me, let me finish, Mike. We could have used some of those funds, or all of them, for the sidewalk, but that would have pretty much depleted that account, which would have probably not made the best sense. So we asked for an offering from church members who may wish to contribute. Nobody was forced to contribute to that fund, but if they wanted to contribute to help so that monies could be left in that Memorial Garden Fund for other building purposes, that's why it was done. Fred, am I pretty much on speed with that?
Okay. Yeah, I would say you are, and I think what precipitated it is we had some members come to us and say, we would like to contribute some monies to have a sidewalk put in. And so that's what kind of started the process. And if we had 15,000, let's say, and it's going to be close to 10 to do what we're going to do. Now, if we need to wall or we got to do trees or whatever, we're up against it. So.
Where does that money come from to begin with?
It comes from when someone buys
Okay.
a plot, 75% of the money goes to that account, then 10% is set aside. It's never to be spent, maybe 50 years from now, and 15% goes to lawn mowing and that kinds of things.
Okay. That's fine.
Any other questions, Mike?
One wild question, and I don't know if this should be leadership or not, but it's been a year since we had a hailstorm, and I haven't.
A year since we've had what, Mike?
A year since we had that hailstorm, hail damage. I haven't seen any work done on the church, and we've had all that money sitting in. Why the delay? The longer you delay, the more the damage is going to increase.
I think that's a question, Mike, that admin should handle. It's not a treasurer's issue. And so when his time comes, I'm sure he'll have some thoughts about that subject. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right.
Mike?
Yep, is this on? Hey, first of all, thank you for all the hard work that you guys are doing to keep everything in line on the budget. I know how difficult that is. And I think I speak for a lot of people saying that's well appreciated.
Well, Bob and I make a good team. Just so you understand the separation of power. Tradition. Pardon me. I do the weekly depositing stuff. Bob does the thinking stuff about where we are on. And so it works out quite well. So I put the money in and he decides what's what.
Yeah, my question is, I just want to make sure that given the way the market is now, that you guys have made the allowance for the money that we have sitting to be gathering a good amount of interest because it's pretty high right now. And if not, you don't have to answer that directly, but it's something that we should maybe discuss one off because
we have some accounts that we have monies at First Bank in CDs in to take advantage of those higher interest rates on short-term CDs. But the bulk of the monies that are there, not all aren't coming in as being spent as they come in. So there's not a lot of cash laying around.
okay, thank you for that.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Mike, I can also, since one of the other committees I sit on, I'm not sure which one, we deal with the endowment, which is invested through Baird and Associates, and we just had a meeting like about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Come on up, John. And we had that discussion on, you have to balance rate, safety and all that stuff. So, committees, ministries, and project groups. First is administrative ministry, Mr. Kyle, and I know he's going to address Mike's question.
Our ministry members are Craig Roberts, myself as chairman, Dan Moldenhauer, Gary Phillips, Tim Schuyler, and Bob Frick, which serves as a ministry member but also is on our ministry as the church treasurer. And then Ari Roberts is our leadership liaison. According to the church constitution, the administrative ministry shall be responsible for the use, care, and maintenance of church building, grounds, and property. We've been working hard to fulfill the mission of the administrative ministry and have been meeting in person on a monthly basis to keep up with our responsibilities. There have been many issues with the neighbors driving across the lawn near the church entrance that we're planning on addressing in the near future. We're hoping to add some boulders to line the church property line to keep them from driving across our lawn there. On the interior of the building, we've had several leaks to toilets and sinks that have needed to be corrected. Many church members may not realize we have had a relationship with the Head Start program for over 40 years, going back to our time at the Little White Church downtown. Head Start plans to install a garbage disposal in the kitchen at no cost to the church. We appreciate the relationship we have had with the Head Start program and that Tim Nolan, who is their director. This spring, we have been continuing to respond to a number of inspections and working on bringing our maintenance contracts up to date and making sure we are not duplicating services. We were having issues with the church access roads. Specifically, people were driving off the edge of the entrance at Concord Road, creating potholes next to the new cement. Due to the generous donation of time and labor by Gary Phillips and Phillips Construction, markers have been installed, making the entrance much easier to see at night and helping people see the edge of the pavement. Thank you, Gary, for all that hard work and your efforts. People have been very pleased with that. On June 10th, 2022, the church exterior suffered major damage in a hailstorm. Much of the administrative ministry's time for the last year have been spent in negotiations with our insurance carrier, Cincinnati Insurance, to resolve our claim for damages incurred and to get repairs started. To date, the church has received a settlement of $206,000, but upon further inspection by the contractor, we plan to work with Wolf Exteriors and with our HVAC contractor, Due North LLC. It has been determined that this amount falls way short for what is needed for repairs. We have hired a public adjuster who is working for us to make sure we are paid for all of the necessary repairs needed to bring the church exterior up to the level it was at before the hailstorm. He is working to get full roof repairs for the church, garage and pavilion, complete church siding replacement, and full replacement of 2 HVAC units. Cincinnati Insurance has hired an engineering firm to counter our claims. We have had 3 church inspections, interior and exterior, and are waiting for their report before proceeding with repairs, and we can finish up negotiations. Our public adjuster I just talked to the other night thinks we will have their report soon and hopes we can begin actual repairs soon. The problem, Mike, to answer your question, is that if we do repairs now, then Cincinnati Insurance can claim that those repairs took care of whatever was wrong, and they can deny any future adjustments. Just so you understand, they've offered us, they've already sent us a check for $206,000. There's another, I think, $27,000 that we get after all repairs are completed. That's their offer. The public adjuster has estimated that the repairs will cost $1,129,000. That does not include the HVAC units and apparently does not include the steeple repair. So we're talking a major difference in the differences between the 2 different amounts. And that's what we hired a public adjuster for. And again, we are still in the negotiation process. Unfortunately, we can't start on repairs until Cincinnati Insurance releases that amount to us that we know what we're actually going to get. So I don't know if that will answer. We're hoping that these negotiations will be taken care of. Cincinnati Insurance has kind of been stalling this whole process by hiring this engineering firm. We had 2 inspections that I did with their original person, about 4 hours each inside and outside the church, and then we just had another one again a couple weeks ago with the engineering firm, so we're still waiting for their report. So if there's any questions, I'll try and answer them.
Rich Steffens. So at what point in time, I mean, I hear soon, and I hear, you know, we're waiting on a report and all these things. But at what point in time do we take legal action? Or because it seems to be grinding and grinding away, and yet, and on top of that, I assume you've gotten other estimates from other contractors other than Wolf?
No. Well, first of all, Bob maybe can help because we were the ones that worked with Garth to get that contract signed. It's my understanding that Garth is our public adjuster, And his position as a public adjuster is a semi-legal position, I guess, Mike, Bob, would you say it? And that if he can determine that there is a difference, that something that should be done to solve the problem, that the insurance company has to accept his offer, I guess is what, or his negotiation is what we were understanding. We're hoping it doesn't have to get to that legal point, but it will be, we're using his expertise in going through this process to determine if and when we would ever get to that point. Part of the problem is that we've already received the okay, for instance, to redo the roof on the pavilion and the roof on the garage. It's the major part of the building here that is really the sticking point right now. The problem is that if we start doing repairs on the pavilion and the garage and replace those roofs right now, we have to put up fencing, we have to have dumpsters brought in for all the equipment, and then those get taken away, and then if we go to do the church, you have to bring those things back in again. And Garth has estimated that it will cost the church about $50,000 extra if we do those repairs now rather than having them done all at one time. So part of the reason why we're also holding off is to try and keep the cost as low as we can. We've discussed possibly doing the pavilion roof ourselves and saving some money that way. We can do that. The other thing that is a possibility that we've discussed is not replacing the roof because it's primarily cosmetic, it's not leaking. But the problem is that if we do not do the repairs to either the garage or the pavilion, and if there is further damage in the future from a tornado or other windstorm or something like that, that would not be covered at all. So again, we have to determine whether we want to do those repairs or whether we want to take the chance that there won't be further damage. And so that's, again, something we're still discussing at this point. George, I guess. Did that answer your question? I guess.
George Moeller. 2 questions. Given the magnitude of this project, why wouldn't we want to have more than one bid from other than a Wolf? That's question number 1. Question number 2, I'm not sure I quite understand. Cincinnati's a big company with a lot of horsepower. Is our one guy up to the task of dealing with a company of that size? If he says we need such and such, and Cincinnati says no, how are we left? What happens? So those are the 2. Why one contractor and this? Okay.
I think several things. First of all, we feel very confident that Wolf, being a local company, will do a good job for us. Wolf is the one that recommended that we go this public adjuster route. And Wolf has also indicated that they will cover all of the public adjuster's fees for us as part of their repair cost. So we don't really, we could possibly get that guarantee from another company, but we don't, and we feel comfortable working with Wolf at this point. They've been very upfront with us and working closely with us and with Garth. They've worked with him before too, which is helping the situation. So.
You guys are keeping me busy.
R.A. Roberts, one comment and then a question. The numbers that I've seen going back and forth are actually generated. We do have a couple of quotes, but there's also an automated valuation model that does the construction cost estimate. So we have so many square feet of shingles that need to be put down, and this model will put those numbers together in addition to the quotes. So maybe it is a good idea to get more quotes, but there's also, based on past expenses that these people know of, they've been able to project what it's going to cost to fix certain portions of the church. The second question, or the question is, John, can you explain how long we have? Is it a 1 year or is it a 2 year as far as working out the details of this?
According to our insurance policy, we have 2 years from the date of the insurance. I'm not sure it's the damage or the claim this is all within a week or two, to at least begin repairs. That was June of 2022, so we would have June of 2024 to get those repairs completed or at least started. One of the issues that we're having right now is that Cincinnati Insurance seems to be stalling this whole process by hiring this engineering firm and some other things like that. And part of the thing we've worked with Garth, our public adjuster, is the talking about, letting them know that we may need additional time and that if they're going to stall this process, they need to legally be able to give us that. So we're hoping to get things started this summer, which would get the repairs done in that 2 year time period, but that's kind of where we're at with that.
Thank you.
Dan back there?
Dan Moldenhauer, I'm also on admin with John. We have used Wolf in the past to do repairs to our roof, so they are familiar with this building. That's one of the reasons we went with them. They've replaced part of the rubber roof over the music room, and anytime we have a leak or damage, they come and take a look at it for us. That's part of the reason we went with them. Another thing with Cincinnati Insurance is that this is their second company they've used now to come in and do samples of our roof or do inspections. So they're going through their second company now to try to challenge what we think needs to be completed here.
Their job, as any insurance company, is to give you as little as possible. That's what we're working with. Mike?
Am I under the assumption that there's two
I'm sorry, you're not on.
Am I under the assumption that there's two engineering firms that have given quotes? Cincinnati's hasn't, and we have one that has given a quote?
I'm sorry.
Well,
Oh.
you said there were two engineering
Yeah.
reviews. Was the first one
The first one was by a company called JS Held, which is the company that Cincinnati Insurance works with. It's a 22-page document. The one that we just got from Garth uses a program that he uses when he does these things, and I think it's a 14-page document. Again, if anybody'd like to look at those, they're welcome to do that, but it's amazing the number of different line items there are for a repair of the magnitude we're talking about. So.
Okay, well, Garth, is that our insurance engineer? Is that the one?
I'm sorry, what?
Who's Garth?
Garth, is that our?
Garth, it's Garth Grandchamp is our public adjuster.
Okay, now, he said that better than $1 million to fix everything? Is that what he said?
Garth estimated it at 1.1.
His estimate that we got just a couple weeks ago finally is $1,127,613. But as I understand that, it does not include the HVAC units, which are probably going to be about $25,000 to $30,000 each. There's two of them, one up on the roof over the music area, and the other one is out located by the entrance. Both of those sustained damage to the fins, or the venting area along the edge. They're still working, but only at about 80%. And so Due North, who's our contractor that we work with for our HVAC, has estimated it said they really need to be repaired. Cincinnati Insurance originally gave us $330, I think it was, to go through and straighten the fins. We're talking a difference of potentially $50,000 or more for the two units.
Well, Cincinnati Insurance engineer, you said they went to their engineers. What was their damage assessment?
Their total that they offered us, let me just get the document, make sure. It's 206,000 plus, I can't find my sheet. That's your stuff. I had this already. There it is. $206,000 what they gave us, and then there's another $27,565 that you would receive. They call it supplemental claim or depreciation, whatever you get after you complete all repairs.
But now I'm in this meeting here, I'm under the assumption now that Cincinnati went out and got another engineering firm? Is that what they're doing, or?
So is this after the, so if I understand, Mike, what you're saying is that you've said that there have been 2 engineering reviews by Cincinnati.
Correct.
So the first engineering review said $200,000.
Correct.
We're still waiting for the second one.
Correct.
To come back.
Okay.
And we don't know, and we're assuming that whatever this engineering firm suggests, that's what Cincinnati will accept. And again, then there's negotiation between the 2 parties as far as what the final settlement will be. So that's what's really holding up all this whole process right now, is trying to, just another thing just to kind of throw in, some of you have noticed there's peeling paint down on the columns outside the atrium area. Our Head Start unit had an inspection by the state of Wisconsin and got cited for the peeling paint. We've contacted Head Start and let them know that, and I contacted our public adjuster. He said we can't really scrape and paint that paint, because if we do that, then Cincinnati can come back and say that we've made repairs to the building siding, and therefore they're not going to pay for any of the siding repairs. So we're talking, you know, a couple $100,000 possibly for siding repairs that scraping that paint could have us lose. So again, there's a lot of these different pieces that are falling in, you know, coming into play. Garth Grandchamp has asked for a copy of that citation so he can use that as evidence to the Cincinnati Insurance to help us get that siding repair done. So.
Marty Wiley, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but what does Head Start pay for the rental of the space that they use at our church?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the contract. They pay it on a yearly basis, though, and
I think it's fairly minimal. And I heard a figure, and I will not quote because I don't remember exactly, but
we are looking at.
Wow, they get a lot for what they're getting back.
We're looking at increasing all of our rental fees for the GED program, for the Head Start program, probably in the neighborhood of 5 to 10%. We haven't negotiated that. Those rates have not been raised in a number of years now, and so that's something we're looking at doing in June. Again, just so everybody is aware of it, the Head Start program put in a new dishwasher for us last couple of years. They're putting in a garbage disposal in the kitchen. They've added a brand new playground area to us. There is a unit down in what we call our art room that's a sanitation unit. You can put items in, and our Hearts and Hands program can use this also to sanitize any things they have. That's all been done at no cost. So the Head Start has really been very good as far as adding things to our building that we can use as a church, but they can also use. We're a little bit hesitant to raise their fees too much, just because we've had a good relationship with them and they have been very good to us. So.
This is Bob. This is Bob. I just recall from my moderator days, their monthly fee is, I believe, $600 or $700.
That sounds about right.
So it's, I don't know what number you heard, Marty, but you know, it's $6,000 to $8,000 they're paying us annually. Yes.
Anybody else?
Like I say, I'd be happy to talk to anybody individually that has questions later on too. So you can see the sheets we've got. So.
That's fine. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
A lot of work. Andy, stewardship. Do you have any report? Or Bob, whoever.
Here's Greg. Let me give you Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Bob Johnson. Actually, no, I'm Andy Meckel. No, wait. Andy and I are in the middle of transitioning between who's running stewardship, and currently it's me, so that's why there's a little confusion. And then my name appears under the golf outing too, but I'm gonna be Fred Steinke then. So anyway, the members of the stewardship committee or ministry is myself, Tom Stone, Andy Meckel, Mike Harrow, Al Bathrick, and myself. I'm currently secretary and chair, and Andy is going to be taking over as chair right after the car show. So that's what's going on. And I think a lot of people do know what we do, but essentially our role in the church is to help the congregation meet the budget through active stewardship. That's really what we do. And we have a goal. We set a couple of goals in 2023 to have membership. The other thing we do is you know, we run that survey and campaign for time and talent. And one of our goals is to see if we can get 90% of the members of this church doing something in some of the ministries or the rummage sale or the golf outing, do one activity beyond just coming to worship. And then, so that's our goal, is to see if we can get membership up to that level, or the time and talent part of it. So we meet every month. We skip a couple months in the summer just because we can easily do that without affecting our efficiency. So anyway, so far in 2023, in the first 5 months of the year, we did have a time and talent spring campaign. And frankly, it was kind of a failure, to be very honest. We only had 50 responses from our members, and it was confusing. We didn't do a real good job of marketing it, the survey, or talking about it. We missed one of the Sundays that we were supposed to be here to talk to you about it. And it was somewhat, many of the members were confused because there was some confusion over whether if you participated last fall, you didn't need to do it in the spring. So it kind of got botched. So we've made a decision that we're going to go back to what used to work well for us, which is a single campaign for both your pledges as well as your time and talent. So that will happen this fall. So there'll be one single campaign, basically. And we've already decided on a theme for that campaign. And the theme is, because of you, our church changes lives. And I think that speaks well for what a church should be doing and what we're going to focus on. So I apologize for having this kind of botched spring campaign. It didn't work out, and so we're just going to go back to what worked and do a better job this fall. The other thing, so we've already decided that October 22nd is going to be Stewardship Sunday. And leadership, I don't know, Chris, are you talking about the monthly ministry? Okay. One of the things that came up in leadership and also in stewardship was we're going to assign each ministry and larger committee a month of the year to be focused. In other words, like stewardship is going to have October be the month that that ministry, our ministry, will do fellowship hall one of the Sundays. We'll have a couple of the Sundays where there'll be a table set up in the back for you to come and talk, members to come and talk to the stewardship committee about what we do and learn more. And we'll have an article in Branches talking about what's going on. And each month, a different ministry will be the focus. And that really came out of one of the things stewardship looked at is there was a report done by the conference and this consulting firm that they use that talked about 50 ideas to help stewardship be, to ramp up your stewardship and time and talent. And that was one of the ideas that came out of that program that we looked at and talked about. So anyway, we got a few things going on, and that's where we're headed. Any questions? John?
Real quickly, you said you wanted to get 90% of the congregation involved. Do you have any idea where we're at right now?
Well, after the rummage sale, it's about 95%. Thank you, Jill. No, I don't specifically, John. But what essentially we wanted to do is have 90% of the congregation participate this church is a very participative church. I mean, the survey that we did was not indicative at all because only 50 people responded. And there had to be 100 people that worked at the rummage sale or more. So, it's not like you guys are doing a bad job. We just ran a poor survey. So, okay, good question. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Memorial Garden Committee. Fred, he's going to trade off. All right. Go for it.
Okay, just real quickly, Mike had brought up Memorial Garden Committee a little bit, and our biggie is the sidewalk project that we're ready to get started. In fact, I think it may be tomorrow that Gary's going to be out there and start, well, it's already laid out. And we originally, when we talked about it, we were talking a 5-foot path going down. It has to narrow when you get down in between where the walls come, just because they're too close together. But then it's going to open up when we get way down there and be about 12 foot, okay? Eventually, the thought is maybe we'll have a gazebo, some kind of roof kind of a thing. But, so that's kind of where we're at. We're ready to rock and roll. And it's looking good down there. And I'll also put in a plug that you can't do any better as a final resting place than our garden, okay? Both from a beauty and also from a financial perspective. We're priced really, really great against anything else out there. So that's it.
That's it. Did you want to do a golf outing?
I'm going to just mention the golf outing. We've started meeting as a golf outing committee. The date is August 14th, I believe. So it's a Monday as always. It's going to be again at the Oconomowoc Country Club, Golf Club. The cost is probably going up about $5 to $10 this year just because our costs have gone up. But it's a great time for people to come, whether you're a golfer or non-golfer, having dinner, just socializing. So we're going to be pushing it. We're going to have a booth in the back next week, and come and talk to us. Thank you.
Questions? Excellent. Thanks. Oh,
Lois.
we have a question. Mike? Not that mic.
Microphone.
Handheld mic.
Maybe I can just ask you.
He's coming.
Lois Jackson. I just have a question as far as, it's a technical one, I guess, but do the ashes have to be contained in a container, or can the ashes just be put in the ground there?
The ashes need to be in a non-biodegradable container. Something that's going to hold up.
Metal. Okay. Thank you.
Metal, ceramic, but not just in the ground.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Next up was Mission Ministry. I know Pam Van Avery couldn't be here today. Apparently her husband's sick, so she's attending to him. Is anybody from Mission willing to come up at this time? All right, that's cool. Cindy Meckel, Hearts and Hands. Sorry to make you come back up, Cindy.
Get in my steps.
There you go.
I'll do Family Promise too, which is part of mission.
Yes, please do.
All right, Cindy Meckel, again, we'll start with Family Promise. So I'm just gonna read the report I sent to Pat. So a new shelter opened last Monday, April 24th, and that's really exciting for Family Promise. So the families stay at the shelter. There's no moving from church to church anymore. At the shelter, they get to stay until they graduate, which is great. It's located in a former firehouse in Waukesha. The shelter has been beautifully renovated. It is gorgeous. Each family has their own bedroom and their own bathroom. There's 2 living rooms. There's a commercial kitchen. There are 2 laundry rooms. There's a patio out back. So it's a great place for our families. So we started with 2 families, and I think we're already up to 3 or 4. There are so many families needing services right now, you guys, that Family Promise has had to take down their request form on their website. They can't keep up. So think about that. It's not good. But the fact that the shelter is open, now Family Promise is serving 10 families. So there's 5 apartments in Waukesha along with this new shelter. And the goal, I think, long-term would be that the families would start in the shelter, graduate to the apartments, and then graduate on to give them a stepping stone. So we have signed up as a church to provide a meal and 2 to 5 volunteers on the 4th Tuesday from May to October. And you have to do 2 online trainings plus 1 in-person training. Deb Bersinger and I are lead volunteers, so we are trained, and I was at the shelter last week, but looking for more people to volunteer for that. So from May to October, there are 3,672 hours. We're looking for volunteers for 15 of those hours. Think about that too. Everyone's got 2 hours of time that they can give. So you would serve on the 4th Tuesday of the month from 5 to 8 p.m. at night in Waukesha. Let me know if you're interested. Any questions on Family Promise? All right, on to preschool. Another successful year is almost over at Hearts and Hands. We served over 40 kids this year. I know Peg had mentioned church members. We have 2 church members. The rest are from the community. It's a huge way to reach out to the community. We are sending them the branches now. We have a few openings in our August Friday Fun class, so look on our website if you know kids ages 2.5 to 5. Some highlights from this school year, we have updated our classrooms. Go take a look. It's really kind of cool. We're noticing kids coming in. COVID has created kids with fine motor issues, large motor issues, and sensory issues. So we have taken it upon ourselves to adapt our classrooms to help with all of those skills. We purchased kid-sized picnic tables that are super cute and in the pavilion. So now we have kid-sized tables. Kids will no longer be falling off the adult tables for us. Those tables are awesome. And we hired a marketing person to update our logo. So our logo hadn't been changed since we opened in 2006. It's now our old one was fun too, but updated colors and updated font, and we're updating signs and stuff to go along with that. That's it for me. Any questions, preschool? No? Fast enough?
Outstanding. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And in keeping with education, or that was little ones, Melissa Reineck, Education Ministry.
Hello. Our ministry is myself, Amy Drua, Jenny Wallace, Emily Steckbauer, Darla Corby, Randy Bordeaux, and our leadership liaison is Bonnie Lagerman. We're coming to the end of our 22-23 Sunday school. This year we did a teacher group for each grade, which seemed to help the kids get to know the teachers a little bit more and get to be a little bit more comfortable with seeing those teachers every week, every other week, and it helped us with volunteers as well. And we've been busy brainstorming and coming up with fun summer ideas for our youth. Our confirmation dinner is coming up at the end of the month, and they decided to do a barnyard barbecue. We've collaboratively come up with decorations and meal ideas to tie in with their requests. We look forward to celebrating with them for the hard work and dedication that they've put in throughout the year, along with Chris and Amy. And we've decided to participate in Kids Fest again this year. We believe this is a great opportunity to reach out to the community and continue to promote our youth division. Another opportunity that we may embark on is the Oconomowoc Farmers Market. Here we're planning on handing out potted plants and packets of seeds with our QR code that links to the education website or webpage to try and draw in some more youth. And our theme there is Come Grow in God's Love with Us. And there's been a few inquiries on whether or not we were going to conduct a VBS this year, and we've decided to try a one-day VBS in August to see if we can maybe draw in some more kids that way. And we're still figuring out the details and how that's going to go on our monthly meetings. We've also are exploring the possibility of embarking on a youth garden on the grounds. Here we plan on having 3 lessons with the children, showing them how the food will be grown and how it's important with our physical growth, and the time we put into the garden can produce not only beautiful things but for food to nourish us. With our collaborative talents and ideas, I believe our summer activities will be a continuous step in keeping our youth involved and hopefully bringing some more families into our congregation. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Mickey Kellner in spirituality.
Spirituality ministry deals with the worship and spiritual life of the church, and that includes the music program. We are currently planning our church's first annual music program recognition Sunday, which will be June 4th. Here at First Congregational, we are very fortunate to have such an extensive music program. There are churches in our area that have very limited programs. Some have small choirs that are only active around the holidays. Some have only an accompanist for hymns on Sunday. Our music program is designed around the talents of our active members. So instead of being based on a particular style, it's based on who we are. It's an authentic reflection of our church family, and we want to recognize and celebrate everyone who participates. Please plan on being with us on the 4th. Help us do that. The second thing, anything that happens in the sanctuary or during worship services is our area. So anytime you have questions or concerns regarding our worship services, those questions and concerns should come to us. We love feedback on spirituality ministry. And we are asking for your feedback regarding an issue that we've been struggling with. First, a little vocabulary. The chancel is the part of the sanctuary around the altar or the communion table. We have a communion table. It's reserved for the clergy and the choir and is typically separated from the nave, where you are, by steps or a railing or a screen. So I'm standing in the chancel. You are all sitting in the nave. The narthex is the gathering space between the main entrance of the church and the entrance to the sanctuary. It's designed to be a place of welcome and also an area that aids in the transition from the outside world of our daily lives to the celebration of liturgy in the sanctuary. Because of the acoustics in Fellowship Hall, conversations in the narthex are amplified to the point that those sitting in the nave are unable to hear music being played in the chancel. We are asking for your advice on how to diminish the sound without diminishing the welcome. We've thought of closing the doors or a sign requesting silence, but those ideas have been rejected as impersonal and unwelcoming. Flashing the lights to let everybody know it's go time, moving the narthex table to affect the traffic flow. Give it some thought when you leave the sanctuary, and maybe when you come in next week, look around. We want your advice. We want your suggestions. Our members are Deb Bersinger, Deb Groskoff, Dave Lupton, Judy Schuyler, Peg McCullum, and me, and you can share your advice with any one of us. Questions?
Linda, welcoming ministry. Is she here? She has it, okay. We'll put that aside. 3 project groups. Jill, is anything new and strange and weird from the word of rummage?
There's always that strange thing.
Not yet.
Good morning. Okay, just with rummage, I knew this was going to be a horrible day to be trying to get things into a dumpster once I realized there was a congregational meeting. But if anyone can stay after today, we have a dumpster outside and we can load a bunch of things that still need to get out there. Otherwise, I'm out of town the next 3 weekends, so if anybody just has some free time during the week, reach out to me and we can try to get a few people together to throw things into the dumpster. Also, we have some electronic recycling, quite a bit of it, and there is someone on Locust Street that will take it and she takes it apart and recycles it. And so if anybody is willing to do that, just let me know and I can lead you in the direction of where the electronics are. And I guess I'll just keep it short and sweet like that. I think everyone knows that we made about $18,000. Just so people know, there will be a Goodwill donation of about exactly $250 that is going to the Brookfield UCC Church. We have tons of racks and shopping carts that we will use for years to come, and that will come out of there. But I know more money is coming in, and I don't think it will be a problem to be paying for that. So, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Rochelle's going to talk to us about the upcoming Eagle Car Show.
Yes. It's the 6th annual car show, which is unbelievable. So for anybody who is new, I think most of you know that this was created by Andy's son, Easton, and my late husband, Rich, on a mission trip. And so we keep this passion alive, and it keeps growing every year. And I will let you speak on behalf of what is exciting this year.
Andy Meckel. As Rochelle said, this is hard to believe that it's almost 6 years ago that we started planning this event, and it really is truly an event. Pastor Bob so eloquently talked about a mysterious encounter this morning, and I think we can agree that we have had our share of mysterious encounters with the car show, and one of my favorites to share was last year. So the show cars usually arrive around 9 o'clock on the Saturday, and last year it was probably about 10 minutes to 9, and Jason, one of our team members on the planning team, all of a sudden hollered out, "There's an eagle," and sure enough, there was an eagle flying overhead. It really is quite emotional, but these are the kind of things God made us a promise that we will live eternal life, and that's what better example of how Rich is truly alive among us, even though he's not with us here on earth. So that's really a cool event. We have new sponsors this year, which is also excellent, and also wanted to share that the 67 Impala is our theme car. If you'll see on the flyers, that was a very significant car in Rich's life with his dad, and so we chose that as our theme car. And this year, I'm glad to announce, I think we're gonna have at least 4, which is more than we've ever had at the show, 67 Impalas. We just had an owner reach out to me the other night and said he met us at Iola at the big car show a few years ago and has kept us in mind ever since, and so he'll be available to come down for that. So June 17th, Father's Day Saturday, please spread the word, and we're also looking for donations for the gift baskets that will be raffled as a silent auction, and also door prizes for the car owners who that's the reason for us to be, is the car show owners that bring their cars. So thank you so much.
And one other piece that I would like to add, just so you are aware, the profits that go from the car show do not go into our church budget. It goes into an R.W. Baird fund for the Rich Bailing experience. We have a description of how to use that money, and so I am needing to update that description because we have 2 accounts. One is more of a cash, and we really use any Rich Experience fund right from our profit, so we want to make that more of an investment. I shared with Amy after I talked with my girls, we are going to use all the sponsorship money that we earn, so that's $3,000 this year, that will go directly to the mission budget, and then all of the profits will continue to be used for the Rich Bailing experience and then go into the R.W. Baird Fund. We are pushing almost $30,000 in that R.W. Baird Fund, and I want this legacy to live on way past the car show so that the kids can still have that experience on a mission trip. Any questions?
Thank you, guys. All right. I'm getting buzzed by my wife saying, "Why aren't you mowing the lawn?" So we're going to finish up real quick. The last two reports actually are now mine. Bonnie Lagerman could not be here today, so she gave me the legacy report. Consists of Barb Bajur, Dan Wiley, Bob Johnson, and myself, with Bonnie as the chair. We've been working with Baird Investments on several things, trying to maximize our return while maintaining reasonable risk profile. Annual guarantees, we get $24,000 a year right now from our endowment, and that's just off of the proceeds. It doesn't touch the principal. Since the annual meeting, we've received the $20,000 from Dirk Devin's Aunt Ellen's fund in her memory. $10,000 was added to the budget to offset pastoral costs, and $10,000 was added to the capital improvements fund. After expenditures for the choir chairs, there's roughly $120 that's left in the restricted music budget. We have about $1,700 in the restricted education budget. Melissa, you can spend that how you want to. $2,100 transferred to the music restricted budget from Memorial Garden Walkway at the request of the donor. I won't get into any more details. We're going to be using the month of November to focus on the Legacy Committee, and we've been revamping the brochure that we use to help people understand how they can give to the church, or any questions about the legacy. Okay, and the last report, I put myself last as the leadership team member, or leader. I'm not sure why I did that, but I did. The leadership team's main focus for the first part of this year has been to assist in the Pastoral Search Committee for their work on securing a full-time permanent senior pastor. And this, we've been successful, and Pastor Matt will be starting his tenure with us on July 1st. He was able to get a change in his agreement with his current church, and so he is going to start with us on July 1. That means that our interim pastor, Pastor Bob, will be leaving us no later than June 30th, or maybe even sooner, who knows. He may leave. We'd like to thank Bob for his time with us, his sharing with us, his church organizational structures, and his presence in the pulpit. Thank you, Bob, for stepping in and stepping up. Really appreciate it. Another leadership initiative in conjunction with Pastor Bob is to address how we as a church communicate with each other. We had a church consultant back when Pastor Dave was with us that identified that our church is not really great in, well, we're actually very good at conflict avoidance. And he thought we needed a little work on controversy dealing. So this conflict avoidant behavior is picked up by several of our pastoral candidates over the past year. To address this, the leadership team is putting together an educational program which starts with these cottage conversations that Pastor Bob has already mentioned. These are designed to re-engage members and hopefully establish some safe boundaries that we can agree on when talking to each other. The next step is a half-day workshop led by 2 Wisconsin Conference professionals that will focus on positive and productive communication. It is the hope of the leadership team that this work will position us to better work with our new pastor on issues facing our church. Other than those 2 items, pretty much what the leadership team has been doing is, and continues to do, is to try to support the various ministries and project groups in their work on behalf of the church. Are there any questions? You see, this is the advantage going last. With that, that ends any formal reports. Are there any other further discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. George Moeller, second. That, the lady sitting next to my Cheryl Hall.
Who gave the motion?
George Moeller, seconded Cheryl Hoff. I'm just playing with you. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Any extensions? Motion carried. Thank you for being patient with us. I know it's nice outside. We got a lot of work to do, but thanks a lot.